You've been very quiet.
Why? Well, I like being quiet.
Alright,
I'm not buying that.
That was it for my thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's Alright, Austin, Neil, Matt.
Hold on. I just realized that on my Streamlabs, my mic wasn't getting picked up on my stream, so they missed the intro and everything else I was saying until I just got it fixed a few minutes ago.
Damn.
And
I mean,
also
you said it
to,
in my stream.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it in
Yeah.
mine.
Okay, in my stream I heard.
Well, I know, but like on my Streamlabs, my mic
Well, do
wasn't getting
do it
picked
again.
up, so that means nobody could hear me on my stream.
Fine, do it. Do it again.
And also everything else I was saying, and plus I had to delete this VOD or that recent VOD, and I had to restart my stream real quick, so that my
Oh,
new
did it miss all
volume
my
picked up
segment?
because my personal information showed up.
Uh-oh. All our fangirls are going to be swarming you now. Showing up to take your seed.
So
I mean,
we
I guess
covered the
Worst things can happen.
Sweet 16, which is happening tonight or today, I guess.
Today and tomorrow.
Today and tomorrow, and then also one of the players from the Grand Canyon team who got eliminated the first round, but they're one of their players passing away in a car accident on Tuesday.
Once again, all our prayers and thoughts go out to the family and friends and teammates of that college and the family.
And of course, we got the Boulder, Colorado shooting that happened on Monday, which took 10 lives, including a police officer.
Oh boy. Here we
so our
go.
thoughts and prayers go out to them as well.
Yup.
And yeah, I guess it's all about sad news right now, but
Can we get an F? Can we get an F in the chat for everybody?
F in the chat. And also the actress Jessica Walter, who's famously, at least known for me, for Arrested Development. She passed away.
Oh, really?
Mallory
about that
Archer
one.
as well.
Really?
Archer's mom in the Archer animated TV show.
How old was she?
She was like 80, I think, wasn't she?
Yeah, 80 years old.
Really? I didn't know that. I saw a
Um,
picture of her. I was wondering what was going on. I guess I didn't look at it. Like,
It was on Wednesday. She passed away. I don't really know what the cause of death was.
I just probably.
and I'm
old-
still
did-
continuing Arrested Development right now. I'm still watching it.
Damn.
Wow. I'm on the last season. Wow.
Yeah.
And then also, lastly, the big tornado that happened a few days ago in Alabama and Georgia. At least of what I've heard so far, at least 6 are dead. But I guess the damage was also catastrophic as well. I'm not really sure what the category was yet. They didn't really, I guess, determine that. Unless
If
you've heard anything.
it's probably at least a F3 is my guess.
I say like 3 or 4 because I know it killed some people and it went through, at least for Alabama, it went through Birmingham. So I know it did take some lives. That's always sad, but wow.
Yeah, so again, thoughts and prayers go for everyone else affected as well for those tornadoes.
Yep.
I guess tornado, I don't know if it was multiple, I guess. Since it was in Georgia and Alabama. Unless it just crossed into another state.
I think that's exactly what happened. I don't really know all the details. I heard about it and I didn't really I won't say I didn't look into it. That wasn't what I was like covering at the time. And I meant to write it down. I never did.
I remember you were talking about whenever it was happening, you said that there was a tornado warning. And I guess that's when it actually
Yeah.
happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in the chat with you and I was like, oh, that's happening. And then, yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we're in that season right now where it's tornado season, and it'll be going on for a while.
Where we are living over here in Texas, we actually had a tornado siren go off this week.
Did y'all really?
Yeah.
And wind and rain and whatnot.
It
I
wasn't
heard it.
super close, but it was close enough.
Yeah.
It was close to for me, Justin and I.
Well, it was still 12 miles away from you guys.
Yeah, and we heard.
I still heard it. I heard the sirens go off. So
Yeah.
But then the heavy rain started to come, and it was windy.
Wind and rain. Yep.
Which I enjoy thunderstorms. I like thunderstorms.
Yeah.
Yet to see a tornado though. It's only funnel clouds.
Yeah, it's all right though. I'd rather see. I don't want to see a tornado.
Yeah, so if anybody's never experienced a tornado, it seriously sounds like a lion
It
getting ready
does.
to come down on you.
Yeah, it sounds like you're gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
Like, not to be hyperbolic, it just sounds terrifying because it's super loud. It's just like.
So have you guys ever like where it's really windy outside and you leave the window just kind of open and you get that whistling sound? It's like that times 1,000.
Yep.
Just time about 1,000. That's all.
Yep.
Just
By a
it's
small
just way
margin of
deeper.
1,000.
It's just way deeper in the sound
Yeah.
too.
It is a little. It's a little.
It just I don't know why it sounds like a lion. It just comes off it just sounds like the wind is roaring at you. Essentially.
It's accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate way to describe it.
But
But
I'm just looking forward to at least these games today. That's all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump out of sports news, Austin, if you're done, I didn't know if you had any more sports stuff. I wanted to touch on two things. One, UFC 260 tonight, Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou heavyweight championship. Obviously, I'm the only one who likes, the UFC in this group. But it should be a good fight. Both guys, great fighters. I want to say Francis Ngannou is going to take it. I want to say Ngannou is going to take it, but I'm not going to rule out Miocic because he's not someone you just sleep on. In the same way that I wasn't thinking that was the last fight that I totally miscalled that me and Matt talked about. What was the one we talked about? It was like when we first started doing the podcast.
Yeah, I called it.
You did, yeah, you really did.
I was off by
Was
one
it-
by
was
one
that-
round.
that
It was
was
Conor
the McGregor
McGregor
fight.
and somebody else. I can't remember.
Was it Justin? Was it Gagey? Was it?
I can't remember. I just remember I said Conor McGregor's knocked out in the first round, and he almost was. He got knocked out in the beginning of the second.
Second
So-
round, yeah.
So I
I
feel
mean-
like I was more correct than anything.
Well, you weren't wrong, and I wasn't. I just thought like McGregor was gonna come in. He was gonna be like typical McGregor fashion, but he even kind of confirmed what I was suspecting afterwards. He's like, yeah, I didn't train for a whole year. Like that's why I sucked. I was like, well, fair enough.
Excuses.
Can't win them all. Yeah, well, I mean, like when you spend half your year partying and peddling whiskey, I'm like, you're not gonna be that great.
Yeah, like how many whiskey commercials does Conor McGregor have?
Okay, can I just say I've never seen a single whiskey commercial for Proper 12. I just see it at the bars when I go. So
Oh, I've never even heard of Proper 12. First of all,
really,
yeah, that'd be the first
Really?
time I've ever heard of that.
I feel like you and I should do like a segment where we just like drink whiskey when you're able to again, Matt. Like we should do like the late night Thunderdome after hours, and we're just sipping whiskey, getting drunk. But I'd be down. I probably think Proper 12 tastes like butthole.
Yeah,
But,
we can call. Well, I can bring in my buddy. He's kind of a connoisseur of sorts with whiskey, and we can bring him on. He's actually got a Twitter following called Drinking with Blinking Riley.
Oh shit!
Interesting.
Yeah, he's
I didn't know
actually
he'd be drinking with
his
a
name's
celebrity.
so he actually is quite a big celebrity at OU.
Oh.
He's his name's Blinken Riley. In case anybody's watching and cares to look him up, and he's on Twitter and he gives like stats and statistics that are facts. They're all factuals. But he loves OU so much, and he's got like a 30,000 following from OU. It's quite a big following from OU. I don't even know what it is now, but I actually hold on. I want to look this up in a second. Let's see. Blinken Riley. Let's look him up, shall we? Anybody? So, Blinken Riley.
Oh, Lincoln
sorry.
Riley, the head coach of
Yeah,
OU?
so he named his he created his name after Lincoln Riley, obviously the
Oh.
coach,
Okay.
as a joke.
Oh.
But Blinken is from Men in Tights. Remember the guy that's blind?
Yeah.
you guys-
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
his name was Blinken or something. I can't remember
Yeah.
what his name
it
was.
Lincoln.
Yeah, he's got 28.3K followers.
Nice.
But he also has his, drinking with Blinken, which I've drinking with him. So what the most interesting thing is I've ever done with him, and this is just me, was, you try all these different whiskeys, and then you create your own, vat of whiskey. So you get, 12 different whiskeys, and you pour a little bit in each one of all the whiskeys that you like. You'll pour it into a big bottle, and then you'll try it later on, and you only put the ones in that you like. Obviously, you don't want to put something that is like, oh god, it's just too strong, or I wasn't a big flavor.
Wait. So hold on. Let me
I
make
forget
sure
what
I've
it's
got this
called,
right.
but
You just mix a bunch of whiskey into a big jug and you drink it.
eventually, yeah.
That sounds like jungle juice.
Is that
Or
what it's
whatever they
call
call it. Well, in college,
they have a connoisseur term to it, but I don't.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff will make you spit.
No, actually, I've tried his, and it was pretty good. That being said, he's reading and actually learning about this stuff, so he knows which ones and how much to mix together.
Right.
Mixing whiskey.
Well, the only reason I call it that is because in college we would just call it jungle juice, or we called it Nelly juice because we had Nelly come in and play a concert in Alabama, and before the show we were just like, what should we make? What should we have as a drink? We're gonna make Everclear and punch and stuff and do that. We took Everclear, Aristocrat vodka. We call it Arista shit because it tastes like shit. We took a bunch of different cheap liquors and mixed them in a big Gatorade cooler. And then mixed Hawaiian punch and lemonade and a bunch of other stuff. So we called it Nelly juice. And Nelly juice was guaranteed to make you yak. All right. When trying to sound classy, everyone was like, "It's gonna make you puke," and I was like, "It'll make you spit." And you're not trying to sound like a barbarian in front of the women. But back then, now I just don't give a crap.
Sommeliers is called.
Okay. Well, I'm down to try that.
89. Sorry. Hey, how's it going? No, I cannot put my leg behind my head.
Man.
Let me.
But maybe our buddy Donut can try.
Nope, not that flexible. Not happening, guys. Sorry. I feel like if I had a rib removed, I would do that. But if I had a rib removed, I would also pleasure myself. So there's that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you wouldn't need a wife anymore.
I don't have one, so we're good.
Oh, what a shot at yourself on that! Oh my god!
I don't care. It's like amputating an infected limb at that point.
There you go.
I'll try it.
Well, real quick before
just for the content.
Just for the content. Well, while he's doing that, I can't see it unfortunately because my computer screen is being bubkiss. But before we leave sports news, I wanted to put an F in the chat. If anybody is listening, could do this. Put an F in the chat for two people.
How far I can go?
That far. I can't see it.
Oh, that's too bad.
No, he's not
You're
making
not missing anything.
It looks like you're trying to pleasure yourself. I'm just saying.
No.
You look like a dog
Listen.
trying to lick his private parts.
Don't try to assume my intentions, sir.
No.
So two real quick, two Fs in the chat for sports people, I guess. One is Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the boxing legend, passed away last week in his house at age 66. If you're not familiar with the name or you're not familiar with boxing, he is most famous for his boxing match with Sugar Ray.
The band.
I forget the year, but a long time ago. And another
Sugar
one.
Ray the singer?
No, the boxer.
No, the
fool.
Austin said the band. Band.
Yeah, the singer. That's what I was thinking,
Yeah. Well, let me get another F in the chat for Dick Hoyt, a Boston Marathon runner who ran the marathon every single year since 1980 with his son, and his son was born with cerebral palsy, so he was paraplegic. So what this guy would do is every single year since 1980, he would run the Boston Marathon while pushing his son in his wheelchair, and they would finish every single year. They'd finish the marathon every single year. I don't know what time. I just know he did it to do it. And his son's name was Rick, and unfortunately, Dick Hoyt passed away in his home this past week at 80 years old, and the only year they did not finish the Boston Marathon was the year of the Boston Bomber. So that coward piece of garbage ruined our hero's perfect streak. But let me get an F in the chat for him today, because was definitely a good man. Both those, both Marvin Hagler and Dick Hoyt. So fair winds, good gentlemen.
F in the chat. Sad.
And one more. I guess I could tell you that one later, actually, because it's not sports related. But does anybody have anything else for sports before we move into other things?
So I guess going back
good.
into opening day, starting on April 1st, and of course I know we talked about the Rangers deciding to go for 100% capacity, which is interesting.
You got to do it at some point. And
I'm not gonna go yet.
Well, I think this is a perfect time to segue into the next conversation. Well, damn it, we're about to have it. So before the chat, and I'll let Radio Kid mention it when he does come back too. He'll talk about it better than I can. So Radio Kid brought to my attention that there was going to be a fourth round of stimulus checks, because apparently the new strain of COVID, our current vaccines are only about 30% effective. I myself just caught COVID. I'm coming off of it. I've got a few more days of isolation, and I should come off I should be 31st. 31st is the day I should come back to work. So no big issues there, but it was like when y'all saw me last weekend, it was like a day or two, it was 2 days of misery, and just like I felt like butt cheeks. I was absolutely down and out. I barely talk. I probably sounded like shit. And
did last podcast.
Yeah. I don't know how I looked. I felt like I looked terrible, but I was just so out of it. Yeah, I was super out of it. I will apologize if I said anything or if I came off as agitated, is because I felt like garbage. Not that it takes much for me to get agitated, depending on the topic, especially politics, but
especially
politics when we're talking about certain establishment cronies.
Hearing about it today with the new stimulus, possibly getting a new stimulus check, I'm totally okay with it, but it could be forever until it actually gets approved again, because
right,
like going back with the previous one that took forever just to get passed, and how it was being dragged on.
Right, and well, what me and Matt were about to get into, and we decided to save it for the podcast, is because it seems like it's going to be a regular thing, right? So like, why don't we just?
It'd be nice, because I know other countries are for sure doing that. Like every month,
like
people are getting paid.
Yeah, universal basic income and stuff.
Yeah, it's like because the government doesn't care about us.
I mean, our government. Listen. Here's what I'm going to say, and here's what I'm going to sound super hippie and super tinfoil hat conspiratorial and all this other stuff. Is the United States is a corporation. All right. The reason why we don't just greenlight things like UBI, we don't greenlight legal marijuana, we don't greenlight all these things because, well, for the UBI, you need the workforce, right? We need to have people living off bare minimum wages. The reason why we don't have prison reform is because of the prison industrial complex. The reason we don't have weed legalization and other drug legalization and decriminalization is because of big pharma. We don't get out of the Middle East, even though we have literally no reason to be there because of the military industrial complex. I mean, we have all these big industrial corporation complexes and groups that essentially keep us in these like perpetual terminal states, terminal state of war, terminal state of prison, terminal state of having to be reliant upon drug companies, and whatever, pick whatever you feel like we're stuck being forced to live with, and the chances are that's actually the case. And I don't mean to be like, oh yeah, like I know, again, I sound like an old school hippie, and it's because in reality I am kind of an old school hippie, like I was definitely a part when before I was even old enough to do anything with my life. I remember like hearing about like what was going on in the Middle East, and I was like, well, that's stupid, like we shouldn't be there. And it was just one of those things. But
yeah,
I'm interested in me and Matt were about to get into this conversation. Now that he's back, we can do it.
Sounds like
about the idea of universal basic income and how this is just going to become a thing. But my biggest question was, how do we do a UBI system while still encouraging people to take part in the workforce and contribute to society? How do we essentially make sure people aren't just like, well, I'm just going to get my government check and sit around and do nothing all day for the rest of my life because the government, Big Brother is going to take care of me. And that's the big question: is how do we do a universal basic income, take care of our citizens while still encouraging them to not be a lazy sloth on the couch all day for the rest of their life? So,
I mean, that's kind of hard.
yeah, it's an interesting concept because I think what we do is we do definitely get ourselves kind of like, people don't want to work, right? People hate working. They think capitalism is evil, and I mean, like, maybe laissez-faire capitalism for sure, but like, people have these ideas that they should just be taken care of. It's like, no, you should still want to go out and produce something or work towards something, because I think when you work towards something and you're actually when you actually create stuff and you actually build stuff and you actually are like a member of society that contributes, you feel better. I'm just saying, you feel better, you know? Like, I think people would have a better sense of purpose, but I understand that, like, you would be working out of desire, not necessity. Like, you wouldn't have to work these dead-end jobs you don't give a crap about. You would be able to work a job you're genuinely passionate about. And that I can understand. I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. I just feel like we got to be careful in how we go about it, and not just be like, oh well, you know, whatever. Like, this is the way it is now.
I mean, we're at a point in the way things are that we're going to need it. You know, before 1930, we did not have a Social Security plan, so you didn't have a retirement plan for anybody. So you worked until you dropped dead, and that's the way it used to be. And, you know, back then it was seen as very extreme and socialist to be able to start a Social Security and paying people, you know, to retire, and that's the way it was seen. Obviously, you know, it took some time for adjustment, but we're getting to a point where, you know, people need universal income, and it's going to be used, and it'll help the economy keep on going. And personally, I think you'll be able to spend less on certain government, you know, aids to help people, because you're already giving money to people. And obviously, there's going to be an opt-out. So if you get universal income, it starts to phase out after $200,000.
Right.
You know, so I you know, I'd say from $150,000 to $200,000 it pays out, and then $75,000 to $100,000 as a single person it phases out. And it's just because there's not a need for you to have it. And I say this in a very, very nice way. I don't think it's a necessity for anybody under the age of 25
to have UBI.
Correct.
So then what would you do until the age of 25? Live with your fucking parents?
Well, unfortunately for you, you need to make better decisions. It's called growing up.
Okay, no. I agree with that.
Because what it does is, between the age of 18 and 25, you have to learn how to do things, and you're going to have to live the hard way. And until you get to the age of 25, you're going to have to work your butt off. It's going to teach you the value of hard work, and that's what, you know, people need. And I'm not saying, like, as soon as you turn 18, you get it. Obviously, I think there should be requirements, and I do believe everybody should get it, but I just don't believe you should get it right when you turn 18, because it just like you said, it really discourages people from wanting to work. So, and a lot of people that turn 18 go and have kids and have and do that stuff, but they need to struggle a little bit. They need that struggle to be able to understand and value life a little bit.
I agree.
But I don't want them to suffer forever. And, you know, that's the way with my brother-in-law, and that's why I live with him. You know, he suffered a little bit. They got evicted from one, not him, it was technically my sister. Got evicted from an apartment because she was stupid and kept on spending the rent before it was due.
I thought you just say that straight up because she was stupid.
Well, she was like, dude.
Well, I guess
it's like,
family
rent's
can say
due
that
in a
about
week. Let's go spend it on a phone. On the 2 days before, shit, I need to sell this phone. so I could make rent. And then she'd sell it for less than she bought it for, and then still $100 short for rent. You're just like,
God.
okay. Well,
Jeez.
that was a genius move there, buddy.
Wasn't smart.
So, in a sense, I do feel like it's people like that need to learn before you're just given things. Need to learn to be able to contribute to society. And in my opinion, anybody that can't afford to go to college can still go to community college. And I encourage everybody to. Because honestly, community college is still affordable. And a lot of people can get, what is it, a grant or a scholarship or a refund. And not to just imagine that. So if you take 12 hours just for one semester, you typically get triple the amount of tax refund than you normally get if you go and do classes.
Right.
That's because you're spending money on college, and the government rewards you for doing that. And don't get me wrong, college is not fun, and it's by no means what anybody wants to do with their life. It's if I could have just gone straight into accounting right out of high school, I would have done it, and it would probably take me some time to learn everything. But honestly, I kind of thought college was a wee bit of a waste. But it teaches you discipline. It teaches you to get things done. It teaches you not to procrastinate. And I think that's what you need to see in people before you start giving them universal income. And
Agreed.
that's why, like there's a drinking age of 21, but 18 you become a legal adult and you can be tried as a legal adult. Why is the drinking age 21 if you could be tried as a legal adult at 18?
Well, not just that. At 18, you can also join the military. You can buy cigarettes. I mean, you could do certain things, but you just can't
Not anymore.
drink.
You can't buy cigarettes anymore at 18.
That's right. What was it? 21 again, right?
Yeah, no, it's 21 now.
Sorry,
yeah.
we're old. We grew up where it was 18. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But you could join the military. You could be potentially sent off to war to die for, I don't know, after poppy
So
fields
maybe
and
I'm
shit.
a little dramatic on the age. Maybe we can make it 21. So as soon as you can start drinking, you can start. So but it's still a 3-year gap. Is still better than as soon as you turn 18, you get all of this freedom. And that's my argument in the sense of why we need to kind of restrict universal income. But I definitely think it is helpful because it encourages you to want more. Because if you're living from paycheck to paycheck, which a lot of people do, I believe a lot of people do, are struggle, and they're not able to get that little extra money, and they can't buy that, Xbox, or they do buy things that they can't afford, and then they regret it later, and there's a lot of people that want that better life, and you give them that opportunity with a universal income. It's an extra $1,000 every year, or every month.
Well, I also think you teach you to save. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you said it.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something before I forget. Is it teaches you to save your money? It teaches you to understand the value of a dollar besides just the essentials, right? Your rent or your mortgage and your anything like that. But living off bare essentials, that's not living. You know what I mean? Like that's not fucking living.
Right.
I'm trying not to swear as much in this podcast. You're not really living. It's not fun to just survive. Can you pay for groceries? Sure. Can you pay for the rent? Sure. Can you pay for keep the power and the water on? Absolutely. But you want to save some money, and you want to be able to go out and experience things like concerts, sporting events, just movies, stuff like that. You want to go out and socialize, go out to the bar, go out to wherever you go out to hang out with friends, do whatever you do. Like you said, buy the new Xbox, maybe get a nicer car, stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to be able to invest in these cultural things that even though it sounds it is actually not just sounds, but it is super hedonistic. We want these things that make life more enjoyable, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think also, I like what you said about community college, and I also want to say we should absolutely have a huge push to incentivize trade school. Big effing time. Trade school is to me. I see what you can make with trade school money, and it's a skill worth learning, and absolutely big move on that. You should absolutely be wanting to do a trade school and learn to work with your hands.
But that's my thing. You can't get any money until you're 21, but you can opt in, or 25. You can't get any universal money until you're 25, but you can opt in by going to college. or going to a community college, and
Right.
that will opt you in. It's like okay, well now you get it at the age of 19 because you're going to college, and obviously if you fail, you lose it until you're 20,
Right.
and then you can't get it until you're 25 again. So it's encouragement. It's wanting to better yourself, and it's rewarding you to be able to better yourself, and that's what I really want to see in universal income. I don't want to just hand it out to everybody because
Right.
it definitely, like you said, it'll discourage everyone from wanting to do anything, and it's not like the people that are working hard now. It's the next generation. They're coming up. It's my nieces and nephew that they're just given something without having to work for it or figure out how
Right.
to make it work. And I think that's a lot of things that is wrong with our generation. And we're given technology at the first glance, and it really changed everything. And my thoughts. I mean, we our generation, us, we saw that transition from crappy computers to a handheld computer in your hand. We used to have flip phones, for goodness sake.
Yep.
You didn't get to access the internet at
It was
any
like the non-flip
convenience.
phones, the Nokia phones.
Yeah. All you did was either text somebody, and texting wasn't even that big back then because you had to press the numbers to create the letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was calling people really, and I think that our convenience for everybody is going to cause problems, and you have to learn how to not reward them, but to encourage them to want to better themselves rather than just have everything at a moment's notice. And honestly, I talked to one of the guys that I worked with at GT, so I used to work for Grant Thornton, and he said if they did universal income, he'd just get a bunch of guys together, like 4 guys, and together they would have $48,000 for the year,
Yeah.
and they'd get a house together, and then they'd just live off of that money. And
Yeah, I mean, you still have to. I mean, I get that concept. You have to like grocery shop for 4 people and all that stuff.
But,
And you
if you
probably
did that,
carpool to work.
you
or
could
whatever.
probably do it if you freaking what is it? You could probably do it if what is it called? You're eating ramen every day. But-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You still need to work
but
to make.
I don't. And this is the other thing. I don't think we need to have it forever either.
No,
I think it should be a jump start.
for sure.
So to your life, it should be a jump start to your career. So 25 to 30, you only get it for 5 years.
Okay.
It's supposed to be that way to get your life moving, and that way you don't have to worry about it. And obviously, people are going to bitch and moan about everything. So originally, everybody's going to get. I'd say pretty much everybody between the age of 25 to 60, or whatever the retirement age, will get 12 grand for the first 5 years, and then the next year, only the people that are 25 will start getting it, and then 25 and 26, and then then you move it to only people that are turning 25 at that point or going to college. So that way, it's a jump start to people's careers rather than doing it for everybody forever, because I don't see it as a great thing in the long run. I see it as a very helpful in the short run to help you really, because in my opinion, and being 28, that's how old I am. During your teenage years, you think that's like the hardest part of your life. It really isn't. It's your 20s, because you're figuring out who you are. You're trying to figure out how to do expenses. You're trying to figure out who you want to live with for the rest of your life, if that is your choice, if you want to do that. But, sometimes one less thing to think about, such as finances, and living paycheck to paycheck, can be extremely helpful to people that are trying to start families or whatnot. And I believe a lot of people try to start families between 25 and 30. A lot of people do. And that little extra money to help them with their kids, and possibly that $12,000 could go to nanny or something. It'll create
Yeah.
a new job. It's like it gives the opportunity for them to be able to afford a nanny, and then all of a sudden you have people able to afford a nanny and take care of them, so they can focus on a job and bettering themselves. Stuff like that, man. And I just see it all together helpful. And obviously,
would you say there would be an incentive for people with kids at that age? Like, if you were 25 or 26, would it just be the same UBI? Like, for example, this last stimulus check, you got an extra $1,400 for every kid. So all the people that, I have like a buddy at work who has
the
like
UBI is
4
not for the
fucking
kids. The UBI is
Okay,
not
so
for
it's
the
just
kids.
yours. It's
Correct.
just your cut paycheck, and you don't get more for having dependents. If you have kids, that's on you to take care of them, not the
Correct,
government.
and it's
Okay,
not for head
good.
of household either. There's no head of household. It's per person. So
Right.
if you and your partner are both between the range of 25 and 30, you both get it. And that's
Okay.
the way I'd see it, because it gives you, like I said, that jump start to your life that you need. And, not to mention, I want to say this. The best part of our lives are between the age of 20 and 30. And yet it's the hardest part, in my opinion.
These are the best times?
This is supposed to be the best times of our lives, man. This is supposed to be the best parts of life.
supposed
We're
to
sitting
be,
at
but
home
it's-
talking about
Oh,
COVID.
God.
But not so much right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know, but we're stuck at home talking about COVID. So,
I know.
but this is supposed to be some of the
That's
best times
There's
of
a
our
meme
lives.
where it's like, these are the best times. These are supposed to be the best years of their life, and like the kids like freaking out. These are the best. It's like, oh crap.
But I'm going
Um,
to digress from this. We've been talking on the subject for about 15 minutes now.
No, you're good. It's a good one, though.
Leave a
It's
comment if you guys prefer to have universal income and what your thoughts on my thoughts were. Leave me a comment in our Thunderdome, and you can join our
Community page, yeah.
our community page and our Discord, and just join in if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good one, though. We talked about it last episode briefly, or it was the last episode, the episode before that, where we talked about, in a way, we kind of touched on it. We talked about like prison reform, like prison industrial complex reform and stuff like that. And we did gloss over that. If you said it would be like you just get an annual paycheck of like $12,000. I remember we talked about it. And I don't know if like now you're changing to say like it would be a monthly paycheck or just an annual paycheck. There's like, here's your cut check and get the hell out of my
See,
face.
the problem with giving money to people all at once is they tend to blow it on things they don't need.
Oh, big facts. Big facts.
Everyone,
Oh my
people are going to
God.
do that, of course.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but you give
yeah.
them $12,000 all at once, and they're like, "Ooh, shiny object."
It's just how they are. I mean, you can't stop them.
Comes out like, what did you buy today? A hippo. What?
How do you?
What?
Fix the McDonald's ice cream machine.
Right?
You buy the
What
McDonald's
meme?
ice cream machine.
You
That's
buy
what's
the
gonna
machine?
happen.
No, it's like the meme. It's like I want like the McFlurry. It's like ice cream machine's down. It's like stimmy check hits. How much does it cost to fix it?
Yeah, that's what I was going off of.
That was a
Yeah.
funny one, real quick. It's like soldiers in the military. It's $1,400 hits the account. I'd like to buy out my contract.
Gosh.
Hey, I don't blame you, man. I feel that big feel right there. If I had enough money, I would have bought my contract out the minute I was like, oh, yep, we're jumping ship when this is done. It is a good conversation to have though. So I do like it. And if we might circle back around to it. I'm not sure. We had a whole another like at least hour of podcast probably. Maybe not a whole hour, but you know what I'm saying. We
A
have time.
whole hour, bro. I got you for 1 whole hour. You ain't going nowhere.
Fucking Spider-Man, maybe the wrestler. I got you for 3
Man, I
whole
can't believe
minutes.
you remember that quote, man. That's
Oh,
a
I know,
great
man.
quote. I love
we were
that
talking
one.
about it at work
And
the
it
other
was
day.
actual Macho Man ready set.
It was.
It was.
Best part of Spider-Man, hands down,
Easily.
is the news guy. It's like
Oh,
Spider-Man's a menace.
Oh, J. Jonah Jameson, man.
Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. I love the memes. It's like, do you want nudes? It's like, no, I want pictures of Spider-Man.
Show me Spider-Man.
Right? Oh my god. All right.
Anyways,
Well, that is interesting. Going with the fourth wave of stimulus. Did they say how much the fourth wave is going to be?
So let me bring it up. This is just a discussion topic.
Right, yeah.
But the buzz has begun between the Democrats. Apparently, they're thinking about it. Obviously, the $1.9 trillion is going to take a little bit of time to take effect, but Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Bernie Sanders, Cerny Banders,
Cerny Banders,
Cerny Banders,
Comrade Cerny Banders.
So they're thinking about trying to add another one, and in the near future, you know, it's just a discussion at this point. I don't know if they really would do it, and at this point, they can. So I don't know if you guys have explained the way the Senate works. They can only do the pass over the Republicans twice in 1 year. And since they already did once, they're going to only have one other shot to do that. The Dems are, which is the reconciliation. And
Right.
I don't think they're going to use it on stimulus payments again.
No.
So I will warn everybody that, and this will be another thing in a bit, the numbers look good now, but they were what they were back before we had the big boom back in September. September was October time frame. Before, the numbers, like, we were all steady around 3,000 infections a day in each state. Before it went up to like 20K in each state. Mainly, Texas, Florida. New York wasn't really part of it, and California.
New York just stayed steady being trash.
Now New York's up at 10,000 people again each day. But you're going to see a boost here again because everybody's lifting restrictions. People are being smart.
For
again,
sure, yeah.
And it's going to boom again.
Guaranteed.
It's good to have the vaccine. Like, it's really good to have the vaccine, but it's not going to stop it.
So the question is, I got a question for this one. Is with mind that like, we're probably not going to be able to stop this virus, right? It just doesn't seem like we're going to be able to actually stop this
Correct.
virus like full speed anyway. So what's the acceptable risk to say, like, what's the acceptable risk of, well, we should just open back up because you said all these states are lifting restrictions. Like, where is the line between, like, are we doing this too fast to, well, if there's no point in stopping it, we have to reopen at some point. We can't let people be subservient to the government. If they have jobs, if they have businesses they need to run, we need to let them run them. And again, I've been saying this, I'll say it every episode, I don't give a crap if I'm getting on people's nerves. Risk assessment and risk mitigation, right? If we're assessing the risk and we say, well, you know what, this is what I'm about to do is worth the risk, and we do what we can to mitigate it, right? So if you have distancing masks, you take temperatures at the doors, you have hand sanitizer at every other corner of the building, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you can take precautions to limit. If we can't stop it, we can at least inhibit it, right? Like, that shouldn't be outside the realm of possibility. And where are we drawing the line on what's acceptable to do?
Dude, it's not about the infections. It's really not. And it's not about the risk of people dying, because I hate to say this, but if you have a pre-existing condition of some sort and you get COVID, chances are, the better chances you're going to end up at the hospital. Now, if you're going to die, that's depending on what kind of condition it is and whether it's treatable with the virus.
Well, like, perfect example is, I had two friends that came and visited. Unfortunately, an F in the chat. One of them didn't make it. She was only 30, and we didn't know. Well, the problem is we didn't know she had an extra health condition. She had like a blood infection going on as well that was completely. They didn't catch it, and it had been going on for months. And but it's like perfect example. You might not know what the hell you got going on because let's be honest, how often do we all go to the doctor and get a checkup?
Right.
And get blood work done and stuff. So at some point you have to. You have to understand, like, this might just happen. And where do we go from trying to save people like that, where we might not even know they have something going on, to, wanting to lock everything down? Yeah, she didn't make it, man. It's unfortunate. Yanel, unfortunately, is no longer with us. She had a slew of complications, and yesterday was a week since they left after visiting for a week, and she did not make it.
It just shows you how serious it is too. I know
it is serious. Yeah, no, like, but let me also say this: like, coming from a guy who had it, I had it. have a relatively robust immune system, but I am not, my immune system is not everyone's immune system, so I'm not going to say this is a cookie cutter method. I think we should all be looking at our health a little more seriously, and I'll say this again, get some sunlight, exercise, move around a bit, eat healthy, don't cut out the sugar, cut out the crap. We all have really terrible health habits, just being Americans. I'm just going to say it. We have really bad health habits as Americans.
Well, it's the style of what they promote in America.
Exactly. I mean, I've been saying for the longest time, we should be watching what we eat, not just how much we eat, but what we eat, right? Like, I would put a big ban on fast food. And I would say, let's stop making fast food so cheap, and let's make real healthy food, like grocery store, stuff you can get at the grocery store that's at least not this hyper-processed garbage that's not even really a beef patty when you go to whatever fast food institution you go to.
I get the chickpea burger, the what's it called?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The vegan burger.
Oh, the vegan burger.
The meatless burger.
Impossible burger, I guess.
Impossible meat, yeah.
Impossible
now
Whopper.
You're just gonna listen. Now you're just gonna die of protein deficiency.
There's actually a crap ton of protein in a lot of vegetables.
Yeah,
man.
really? Oh, well, like the fast food one's like a real protein burger.
Oh, no, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not getting any nutritional content. Let me just go on a tangent real quick while we're talking about health. We should just stop eating at fast food altogether.
Correct.
I understand Chick-fil-A is delicious, and if you're of their worldview, you probably love them because they're conservative and right wing. Well, that's great, but their food is still garbage for you.
Right.
I may joke around and call it the Lord's poultry, but it's terrible for me. Like, I shouldn't be eating this crap. You shouldn't be eating McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, because the problem is now we have so much political virtue signaling in the food industry that we're kind of overlooking the fact that this stuff is still garbage. We talked about it the other day. We talked about it the other day, though. You shouldn't, more people need to know how to cook. Right? We talked about this the other day during the whole women's
we had a big
International
discussion
Women's Day
about
and,
that. And...
About International Women's Day, yeah.
And let's go back to it real quick, because everyone should know how to cook, right? Everyone should know how to cook or grill or bake something, and you should be able to make your own food.
If not, there are plenty of videos out there too.
I will say this: there's more men in America that know how to cook than almost any other country.
And we did talk about
Not in
week.
total. I'm talking about percentage-wise. There's more men in America that know how to cook. So I think it's about 35 to 40% men know how to cook. And I don't mean heat something up in the microwave. I mean 35%.
I'm talking about heat up the oven, heat up the stove, fire up the grill,
cook
something, grill something.
And I think it's about
something.
80% of women know how to cook.
I think it's.
I said it last time. I have yet to see that 80%.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of the women I meet do not know how to cook, and they. You might know how to cook, but do you know how to cook well?
Yeah, for sure. There is a difference. There's a huge difference. Don't give me that I can cook and then you throw together a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
But anyway. I would agree, but I think part of why why we have a larger percentage of men that are learning how to cook is because, part of it, and I'm just gonna say, I think part of it is peacocking, right? Because you see a lot of girls that are like, man, I love a guy that can cook. So what are guys gonna do? Guys are gonna learn how to cook. I was making jokes when I had Rachel and Yanel over here to visit. I was like, hell yeah, I want to cook. Guys that can cook can get it. Part of it was I have some steak, I have some eggs, I have some bacon, I have some chicken, I have some stuff I can throw together on the grill and cook on the stove. I'm gonna do it, and I did. And it was good. It was a good dinner. But part of it is that we like the idea of being self-sustainable, right? I mean, I was even, when this whole pandemic garbage started, I was looking at wanting to learn how to plant and grow crops in my backyard, because I have a backyard, and I was like, yeah, I should learn how to plant stuff and grow stuff and have my house be a place where I can actually grow vegetables like tomatoes, avocados, whatever, what have you. Plant an apple tree in the backyard, some crap like that, and have food. And I was also getting into wanting to go and hunt, because I mean, obviously I couldn't just willy-nilly go take down a deer, but there were deer in my neighborhood when I would go run the dog on the trail behind the neighborhood, and there would be deer, little groups of deer, 3 or 4 or 5, and I was like, if this really gets if we go off the rails here with society, I'm totally just gonna take one down and eat it. Like I totally just I had a bow and everything. I was like, I still have the bow. It's somewhere in the house. I haven't touched it in a while, and I was like, I'm just gonna take this deer down. I'm gonna take one of them down, and there's dinner. Give them some venison, boys. Very nice. But
Anyway, let's rewind a little bit.
What was that? Yeah, let's rewind. Guys that can cook, guys being able to cook, and just people being able to cook in general, and not eating fast food and eating healthy and taking care of your health. Like I said last episode, I shouted out on it for their vitamin D3. It's a little spritz, like a spray. You put like 5 spritzes in your mouth. It's 5,000 IUs, or it's 1,000 IUs per spritz. And we should be taking care of our health this way, but we're not. And that's sort of the troubling thing, is we're not taking care of our health in the proper way because we don't really think about, supplemental vitamin D3, or we're not thinking about, making sure we eat like what we're putting in our bodies, or we're not thinking about exercising enough. Like even if it's just going to run, like I might, when I'm done with the COVID, I'm going to go back to running with my dog at least like 3 miles, 4 miles a day. And I'm going to make it a daily thing, because I need to get rid of this COVID thickness, but I also want to get back into shape and have good cardio and have good respiratory ability. And I feel like, sitting around for 10 days, well, almost 10 days, it's been a week now, sitting around for 10 days, I've lost some of that. And that's sort of the issue. So we need to get back to where like health and fitness is not just something we talk about. We need to be exercising it, no pun intended, but legitimately exercising these concepts of proper health and fitness. And I'm not saying you got to be an athlete. I'm not saying you got to be an Olympian, but you need to go out and do a little something every day. Like get your heart going, get some heavy breathing going on, work up a sweat, make sure you're eating the right things, get some sunlight, and
Just
even
move
if
around. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, like, I have battle ropes in my backyard. I got a pull-up bar. I got a kettlebell. Like, I have stuff that if I want to do a quick at-home workout, that's fine. I mean, even then, go outside, do some push-ups, do some burpees, do some sit-ups. If you've got a yard, you can do, like, the HIIT training, the interval sprints. Do that. Like, do something to stay active, even if it's just push-ups and sit-ups. But I wanted to touch on that real quick. And with the whole COVID thing, I feel like we were never talking about the stuff we really need to be talking about in regards to health.
Right.
So that's it. So end rant right there.
And so to go back to COVID a little bit, and just to warn everybody, this is why I'm trying to tell you guys to stay safe and try to increase your health, and that's why we're having this discussion, is because apparently, and then nobody's had this study yet, but based off of a lot of things, and I don't know if anybody remembers, real quick, does anybody remember how prevalent just the regular flu was before COVID hit, the last 2 years prior to COVID hitting?
Oh my God, the before time? Long ago?
Like how big the flu was hitting during the flu season.
Honestly, I don't have the numbers. I know it wasn't.
Not as much, maybe, I guess.
No. The flu was hitting hard,
It was bad. Yeah, we were getting smacked by the flu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the flu was hitting us hard. And just because the flu was hitting us hard, I think everything, is kind of showing that, you got to be careful. And I don't know if there's stats, and this is just my theory, so you don't have to take my word for it or whatnot, but it looks to me as though this COVID is mutating much faster than the regular flu is.
It is,
And
yeah, for sure.
which is very concerning because I don't think we're going to be able to keep up with a vaccine
I don't
on a
think so
regular
either.
basis. So it's just basically, hey, take this vaccine. Hopefully it, if you do get COVID, it increases your chances of your body fighting it quicker, and it doesn't make you as sick. And that's what the hope is. And at this point, it is hope because
It's something.
the vaccine does bring a sense of ease to everybody, and I got mine. And the twins got theirs. I got to go get my second dose. I got Pfizer, but I'm gonna go get my second dose here in the next couple weeks. But you gotta just try everything you can, to prevent something. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're gonna go back to a normal lifestyle. And a lot of people are going to try to do that, and you're going to see the numbers continuing to rise again, and we're going to keep track of this like we haven't kept track of something ever before, because we've never had social media like we do. And it's just, things aren't going to get better, unfortunately. And I know that's not what everybody wants to hear, but look, you got to be smart. And it's, the number one thing that always people are saying is times are always changing, and technology is going fast, and life is moving fast, and you got to learn how to adapt. And unfortunately, we're in a situation where we have to adapt to learn how to live with a strain of virus that can potentially hurt the people you love or yourself, which means you got to learn how to live with it for potentially the rest of our lives. And hopefully it dies down after a while, and we get our technology and medicine keeps on increasing. But right now, it does not look like our technology and medicine is that high. And they can say all they want, and vaccines have been around for years. It's not anything new. So unless they have some magical shot now that prevents you from getting sick, it's just trying to fight the most current one, and it doesn't look like it's going to do a great job, but it will do a somewhat of a job. So anyway, I'm going to stop ranting on that. Yeah,
No,
it's
you're
something.
good.
And to disquote Nancy Pelosi, because I will say I loathe her for, and I have never given a reason to loathe her until she said this when they were doing their arguments for stimulus packages back in November. It's better to get nothing than something. And I love how everybody just forgot she said that. Yeah, go look it up. They tried to erase it from the internet. So quote from
I
her.
do remember that.
She quoted and came out after an argument and said, because she's trying to argue for a $2.2 trillion deal. This is the one that came out as a $900 million deal at the end of December. And she was trying to do a $2.2 trillion dollar deal, and she wasn't budging because she wasn't working with the Republicans, and she got the Republicans up to 1.8 trillion. And so she came out of the meeting, and and this is what she said. She said, well, I think we've made a lot of progress, but I'm not going to budge. Nothing is better than something. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. We have a moron in the office. Like, it's just like, I just hate both of the leaders of both sides. It's just like, okay. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I've always said that you have Turtle Man Mitch McConnell, who really, he doesn't do anything. Like him and Republicans like Lindsey Graham, they don't do anything. They're kind of feckless and pathetic and spineless. I mean, they don't really pass legislation. The most they do is, and I don't even stop Democrats, they slow down Democrats, right? You've got Turtle Man like, well, slow down there, Democrats. You don't need to be getting too hasty. Just fucking talking like that. And listen. Okay. So I want to say, like, I rag on Biden a lot, and it's because I don't like establishment politicians. I don't like Nancy. I don't like Chuck Schumer. But I also don't like Lindsey Graham. I don't like Mitch McConnell. I don't like the Bush family. And before I go any further, I want to give Biden 2 points of credit, because I always say I give credit where credit is due. I want to give him credit for actually accelerating the timeline in which we roll out these vaccines. I think he did a good job with that.
Absolutely.
I don't like the guy. I think he's still a turd, but like, I'm going to give him credit where he's done something good. The other thing he did is, for anybody paying attention to what's going on in China with the Uyghur Muslim population, China's essentially putting them in like re-education and concentration camps, like shaving their heads, and it's a humanitarian crisis. Joe Biden joined the European Union and sanctioning China for that, because you don't treat humans like garbage like that.
We're going to have
okay.
World War III so soon.
Well,
you can't. You're getting out of the military so such at a perfect time.
That's so good for me.
They're not gonna bring you back either, which is the best part for you. So
if
you're gonna
turns into World War, I'm getting a general under honorable conditions discharge.
Mm.
For anybody that's curious as to why, it's because I smoked weed in the military, because that's the most egregious thing I could have ever freaking done. Even though you've got hardcore alcoholics, heroin addicts, wife beaters, murderers, rapists, and all other sorts of things within the ranks, but smoking weed is verboten. So and there's more gray areas to why I did it and why I just didn't really give a crap when I finally made the decision, like, I'm going to smoke weed.
Anyway, rewind.
Biden joined the European Union in sanctioning China, and I give him credit for that because you have to stop inhumane acts against other people, like what China is doing with the Uyghur Muslims. You have to stop it. You can't. You have to call it out and say that's not okay. And he did that, and I give him credit. So for that, he has my respect, begrudgingly, because I still don't like the guy. I don't like his career politician status, but like he did that, and I give him credit. So that's the 2 points of credit to Joe Biden, President Biden. And but besides that, I mean, you still have these like the establishment cronyists, like these Schumers, the Pelosi's, all these people, and they're just kind of either they're shoehorning in their agenda or they're just kind of not doing anything in the case of the Republican. That's why I'm not really a staunch Republican. I'm a libertarian, and I just say, like, these guys, they don't do much but try to inhibit Democrats. And you got, like I said, Turtle Man Mitch McConnell. Oh, slow down there, Democrats. But that's kind of it. And you haven't seen any counter legislation proposed by the Republicans. It's always been the Democrats pitching it. Granted, they have the House, the Senate, and the White House. So it's just like, well, it's their balls in their court, and the court's theirs too. So whatever. And
Okay.
that's going to be the extent of my political tangent today, unless we talk about the shooting in Boulder, and then I'm going to get on a rant about them trying to shoehorn gun control. And I'm like,
just giving our thoughts and prayers and condolences.
fair enough. Good enough.
All right. So it was COVID, right?
That was COVID.
All right. So I think we're done with that.
I got one thing to segue out of COVID and into another relatively major news story. So as we're aware, the Derek Chavin trial is ongoing. For those who forgot or just didn't know in the first place, we were living under a rock for all of 2020. Derek Chavin was the officer that was responsible for the death of George Floyd, and there was several speculations as to what really happened, and people were like, well, George Floyd had fentanyl in the system. I was like, yes, but that's like saying he died from fentanyl when he just died with fentanyl, and that's a separate conversation. But the trial's been going on. They've been selecting the jurors, and recently, I said it last week or the week before, that the city of Minneapolis wanted to settle with the family of George Floyd for $27 million. Record, like unprecedented historic settlement from a city to a family of a dead, someone dead by police violence, just however you want to word that, killed by the cops. And it's never been done before. It was never done for any of the other victims of we'll call it bad police work, because I just think Derek Chavin's an idiot and he's a bad cop and he's a piece of garbage, and I can go on and on and on and on. But the two jurors had decided to recuse themselves from the case, stating that after hearing of the settlement, they would not be able to remain impartial. And I know we talked about police reform. We talked about a lot of things in the last couple of episodes. What could be done better, and what do we? I mean, I know we never talked on this, so I was wondering what we all feel about this, both this settlement and then the decision for these two jurors to recuse themselves. Just for starters, I mean, if they really feel like they can't be impartial, it is their duty as a juror to speak up and say, you know what, I can't do this. And
I'm just surprised.
in general.
I can't remember his name. The guy who's the officer.
Derek Chauvin?
Previous
Derek Chauvin.
officer, yeah.
Derek Chauvin.
I'm surprised he's not on death row.
Well, so they haven't tried him yet, and you have to whether or not you like the guy or whether or not you believe what he did. Because I've talked to people that say he did nothing wrong, and they're generally more far right individuals that say that.
It's pretty
I've
obvious
talked to
he did
people-
something wrong.
I'm not listen. I'm just saying what they told me. I'm not saying
No,
this
I
is
know,
what I
know.
feel. So they're getting him right now he's on trial. The three charges are manslaughter, and then second degree and third degree murder. The manslaughter one, I think that's an open and shut case, which is basically, for those who don't know, manslaughter is saying your actions
Led
are
to somebody's
responsible
death,
for
whether or
yes,
not whether or not
it
you
was
did it on
intentional.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the manslaughter. I think absolutely that done.
Yeah.
Don't even
That'll
need a
be
trial for that
guaranteed.
crap. Exactly.
Yep.
The second and third degree murder. Now, I don't know if y'all are more expert on legal stuff, but the difference in first degree murder is you intended to kill him and you killed him.
So
you had
yeah,
motive and everything. Second and third degree is where it gets a little muddied. So if we can tell off the top of our heads, otherwise we can do a comprehensive Google search real quick.
but
on
typically
what second,
with
third
murder, it's all about intent. And that's that. So, did you intend to kill this person? Did you did you as soon as you saw them, like, I'm going to kill this person? And if that's the question. Obviously, there's people that didn't mean to kill people. You see it in shows all the time. Like, I didn't mean to. I just hit him across the head, and then they just bled out and died.
That's
okay.
That's
well,
what
you hit him across the face, which was a big no-no. So clearly, you did it on purpose.
Yeah.
So obviously, cutting off somebody's air circulation.
I didn't know that knife going into his neck would sever his carotid arteries. I didn't know it would kill him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be. I think there's gonna be more people that are gonna say yes, you killed him, because it had the intent, whether or not you meant to do it. You're putting your knee on somebody's neck.
Right.
It's a little hard not to think that you're cutting off their airflow. So. And whether or not it keeps them down, I don't know why they use that technique.
Yeah. That's more of the department, right? Like, you would say that's more of a training technique that the department advocates and says to put in their training curriculum. And that's one of the defenses, is like it's a systemic problem within the department that they teach this technique.
But when you have 4 or 5 guys holding one person down, that's when it's like, okay, if you're by yourself, I get it. Get on his neck, and you're the only person there. But it's for the people. If you can't handle the one guy with 4 people, there's something wrong, and you guys aren't doing something right. So that's my thought. But I think they're gonna get him for at least 3rd degree. I don't know about 2nd degree, but definitely 3rd degree. Look, whether or not he did anything wrong, he still killed a person.
Right. I think no matter what they come up with,
it doesn't matter what the situation. You killed somebody, you're facing the consequence. It's manslaughter guaranteed, which is 20 to 30 years, I believe.
Manslaughter was at least 10.
Yeah,
I thought the minimum for manslaughter was 10. So he's looking at he's looking at least a decade's worth of jail time.
At least a decade, and then 3rd degree is, I think, 25 years to 40 years or something like that. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's already in his 40s, so he's guaranteed probably about 30 years in prison.
Yeah, he's
probably the rest of his prison. Yeah, for pretty much the rest of his life. So, unfortunately for him, it's the situation he's been dealt, and people are trying to cry out for more things than it needs to be. And it's like, look, I get it. People
want
racist.
Justice.
Yeah,
well, you also they want this skewed version of justice, and they want to see him hang for it. It's like,
right, but we take the situation. You take the situation, and we reform a little bit, and that's what you do.
I agree.
And people are reforming. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was like, people were in quarantine as well, so that's why everyone got out and did the riots and all that stuff.
But reform is important.
Reform is important.
When certain things happen, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping into this. When things happen, you have to take precautions in the future. And a lot of people just think gun control is the easiest way, for instance. But especially when you get somebody where police brutality is really high amongst everybody, you got to take into mind that, look, there's some people that deal with abuse from the police more than others, and whether it's their race or because the way they look, maybe they have a disfigured face. You never know what the reason is, or maybe it's the kind of car that they drive. You drive a big red car with a
damn that guy! I want to drive a red Corvette. I'm gonna go beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
With a nightstick.
So, but it just whatever it is, we got to reform it, and you can't. And unfortunately, everybody's human, and they all make their own decisions, and all you can do is try to teach them the best. And I'm still, for taking guns away from police officers that don't require it. You don't need one if you're doing a traffic stop. Like I said, that there shouldn't be a gun on a person if you're doing a traffic stop.
We can disagree with that one, but there's more. It's more to just like, oh, he's on a traffic stop, okay. But like at the same time, if he pulls over a guy who's like a drug dealer who's got like a fucking shotgun or something in the car, a rifle in the car, a pistol, even just any gun in the car, I don't know why I'm specifying what type. But the problem with that is they're going to say no because they're not. Listen, you're never going to get a police department that's gonna sign off on that. You're never gonna get a government that's gonna sign off on that.
Well,
Because
if you got a smart police officer, though, he's not going to point it out right away and
right,
says
yeah,
that he
yeah,
sees
no.
it. He's going to walk back to his car, and then he's going to say, "Hey, I think this guy's got a bunch of stuff," and he'd back up, and then he'd go get grab his gun from his car, and then
Possibly,
move on
yeah,
from
yeah.
there.
I know we
Yeah.
talked about that. I mean,
But
I still
that
think
would
it's a
be the
slippery
situation.
slope, but
I mean, most people don't. And I want to say this: most people don't shoot first, ask questions later. A lot of people don't
Right.
do that.
a lot of people don't.
They usually wait till the last second in shooting, other than
Yeah.
which is premeditated things like they like the shootings that happened, they were premeditated. They knew they were going to go do that. There was no way of talking them out of it, most likely, and stopping them from doing that.
Right.
Even a lot of people that do that, struggle to kill people because it's not easy to kill people. I mean, shooting people is it's just
Well, just
something
taking
wrong.
the shooting itself. I mean, it's such a high stress situation. Your hands are shaking, your whole body's shaking, your vision's tunneling. Like,
Yeah.
just
Going to
take the
shock.
physiological response. Yeah, the shock of it. Your the cortisol reaction. You're having an adrenaline dump. Like, all this shit's going on, and you're not able to focus. It's not. Listen, if people tell you that they've been in a shooting and they just say it's super cool under fire, either they're a psychopath, or they're like a 10-time Iraq war veteran, or Iraqi fucking combat veteran. Just every time they go out, they're taking contact. And at some point, they're just like, ho hum, here we go again. Like, either the level of the level of exposure to combat you have is so unreal that you are just that calm and okay with it, or you're a freaking psychopath. Like, there's no one who's okay with it. Like, when I was still training jiu-jitsu, when I was still doing boxing and MMA, even like regularly, I was going multiple times a day, or multiple times a week. I was a couple 2 a day when I was feeling crazy, but not often.
Right.
Like, you would still have those moments where, like, when you're, especially when you're going up against someone who you know is better than you, there's going to be the moments you're going to have those adrenaline dumps, or you're going to feel the shaking because you're going to get nervous, like, this guy's good. Especially when you're sparring and it's just you and the other guy in front of all your friends, because now there's all this pressure, everyone's watching. And obviously it's a different scenario, but I mean, it's the same idea. Like, even controlled chaos and controlled physical combat is going to get a reaction from you. You're going to have a reaction.
Right.
So that's going to happen, and you're going to see people that they're just, and then when you add when that becomes real, right? Then it's legit, and you have people that are trying to kill you or trying to beat the crap out of you. Then that reaction, that adrenaline response, that cortisol release of your body, increase it by 100, and you might just freeze up. That's why you see people that freeze in scenarios like that. Have you ever seen like the videos of the dude who, like, remember Saving Private Ryan? The one soldier he was like a combo guy.
Yeah, he didn't want to kill. Yeah. He's like throwing a knife
froze.
against the other guy. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
he was watching the other guy get knifed.
Yeah, and
Well, he just stood there.
Froze up.
Yeah,
he was crying. He
I
didn't know what to
remember
do. And that's real though. Like, you have soldiers that, like, the first bullet hits the wall right next to them, and they realize just how close they came to dying. And they just kind of sit there and freeze up, and it takes them a second, or either that, or some people cry during that first.
I'd probably
experience.
cry and shoot the person across me.
I mean, you say that.
I'd get the motions at the same time. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had situations that have been pretty close.
Yeah,
but it's just like the fight or flight definitely kicks in. But I'm not gonna. I'm more of a fighter than flight in a lot of situations. But
yeah, if it's
anyway,
1-on-1, I mean, I'll go for it.
We're gonna make this a little more lighthearted. So for anybody that doesn't know, there was a big event that happened in Florida this week. So a person was being bullied in a school. So naturally, the student told her mother, and the mother showed up to confront the bully. But they were wearing boxing gloves.
Nice.
Getting ready to beat the crap out of the other kid. The mother had glued the boxing gloves to her hand. Obviously, she got arrested. But it's just like, okay, I get it. They're in high school. You're going to get bullied. People are going to say stuff. But really? You're going to go beat the crap out of the kid with boxing gloves?
I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Like, square up. You want to bully? Like, let's go. Bully someone who's going to fight back.
Oh,
I'm 100% move that. Oh, I got another Florida story. I got some Florida stories actually. So,
okay.
taking it still in the lighthearted direction. So obviously you had spring breakers in Florida this past week, and there was a headline, and I don't know which news article. I didn't save it or pull it up, but there was a headline that read, "Spring breakers out of control. Women twerk on cop car. 2 officers injured." And when you look at the headline, it's like, wait, did the women twerking on the cop car hurt the officers?
They've done something they didn't mean to.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I feel like everyone's just locked up, and these women twerking are just like, it's like peacocking. It's like I've been telling you, they're just peacocking. At this point, they're just spraying their pheromones everywhere. Like, come mate with me. It's been too long since I've had, whatever,
Trying to get
I've been in
the
quarantine
attention.
for over a year.
I haven't gotten laid in
Male
over a year.
specimen.
Yeah.
Yeah, spray my pheromones. Come love me.
Oh god.
So, you have these women that twerked on this cop car. 2 officers were injured, probably not from the twerking, but it's funny to imagine that the twerking is what injured them. That was a big ass woman twerking.
That'd be
on
embarrassing.
God damn.
Look at the size of that.
Yo, that's a woman right there.
That's
Damn.
a woman.
She ain't a lady unless she's 380.
Wow. That's the first time I've ever heard that one.
Really?
I
Oh
like
my
it.
God.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, obviously I don't feel that way. I'm sorry. I'm not attracted to larger women. Sorry, ladies. Control your orgasms. So that happened. A lot of people were freaking out. Obviously, I think Governor Ron DeSantis is a godsend because they're like, you've got people that are like, hey, lock down. Come on, man, you gotta lock down. And he's like, nah. Same thing with Texas. They're just like, lock down. Hey, lock down these nuts. So they just were like, you know what? It's been a year. You've caged people up for a year. What do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna go buck wild. So I wasn't too surprised. I heard about it and I was like, well, people are gonna, Florida man, Florida woman are gonna Florida man and Florida woman. That's all you gotta say to that. And most of these people probably weren't even from Florida. They were just like, F it. When in Florida, be like Florida man.
Yeah,
So,
and you got, of course, the Miami Beach, I guess. I don't know if it's Miami Beach, but then you got the curfew as well
Yep.
for them.
Yeah, well, apparently, I guess COVID stops coming out after a certain time. Well, that would be the opposite because
And once the sun goes down, it just stays away.
COVID's like, guys, it's too dark out. We can't go outside. Yeah. Well, what's funny is going back to COVID real quick.
That's
There's
what
evidence to say
just
that
imagine a woman saying that.
in the exposure of UV light that the COVID virus is less active, because UV light actually hurts it, or is that BS?
Well,
I thought that
mean,
was a real
UV
thing.
light hurts almost every cell, so
Yeah,
whether it's on
so-
your body or it's a virus, it's gonna hurt it. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's that many UV lights to destroy the virus.
No,
while you're
but
out
if you're just
on
in
a
sunlight,
beach.
just in regular sunlight, you know what I'm saying? Like
No,
if the sun's
there's not
out.
enough. There's not enough.
Okay.
There was more UV rays back in the 80s, I believe.
Right,
that
right,
were
right,
hitting.
right.
And obviously, we made a hole in our
Ozone layer.
ozone layer, but it's been slowly healing. It's not going to fully heal. It's like it's like a little kid that scrapes his knee and keeps on picking the scab.
Yeah.
It's going to take forever to heal if it ever does. But hopefully it does it sooner than later.
Well, I have one more Florida man story, but we'll come back to that because now that we've gotten into the topic of global warming and gases being trapped in the atmosphere, Iceland. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of the volcano in Iceland that just erupted. It was a very subtle eruption, although not as subtle as I think they were hoping. The name of the volcano is like something a Viking would scream out before a battle axe a dude in the skull.
Fagrad.
See, exactly like I said.
Fagrad. That's my pronunciation of the volcano.
Sweet Odin's Raven.
Sweet Odin's Raven.
So you had this volcano erupt and it started spraying like volcanic ash and stuff into the air, and they've been talking about there was records of like tens of thousands of earthquakes going on for the entire week, for like the 3-4 weeks leading up to this eruption. And so I guess just Vikings don't give a crap about that kind of stuff. Like instead of freaking out, and the eruption happened, and it was relatively
Everybody
compared
went
to,
up
like,
to
most
the volcano,
eruptions,
yeah.
Yeah, they're taking selfies with it. I guess it's the most like Vikings are the most white of white people. So when it comes to doing white people shit, they go out and take selfies next to molten magma, and they don't really give a shit if they almost burn themselves. They're just like F it.
Well, actually, so I was watching a person, volcanologist, I think is actually what they're called, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah.
It sounds like it's a Star Trek, name, right?
Yeah.
Because Vulcan, volcanologist.
Studies the Vulcan people.
Believe it or not, things don't just disintegrate when they go into molten lava.
Yeah, no, they get preserved
like,
sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of the times they get preserved.
Depends on what it is. Like rocks and stuff get preserved, but things that aren't quite as hardy as like stones and stuff like that might just burn and get chemically recomposed. Uh-oh.
Mhm.
I think
lose
he
Matt?
froze.
Uh-oh. We lost Matt. We're talking about like Viking volcanoes and shit. He's
Maybe
gone now.
overrated.
Or something.
Maybe Eivor from Assassin's Creed Valhalla put a tomahawk in his head or some shit.
All I heard him
Talking
say
about-
was, "Did you?" And then he stopped talking.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We lost Matt. Man down.
He's still... Oh, never mind.
Oh, there it is.
There he
He's gone. He'll probably come back here in about 5 seconds. Well, when he comes back, we'll convene on that.
I just know whenever the Spring Breakers were coming to Florida, that Florida was doing a state of emergency.
That's what I was
Really?
saying with the curfew and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably because you have such a dense amount of people coming to visit, and it's one of a handful of states that are open and not really doing this lockdown bull crap because they kind of understand. If we're not going to stop the virus, you have to learn to live with the virus, so we can't stay locked down forever. That's why I'm a big fan of Governor DeSantis of Florida, because I think he's doing the right thing here, and he kind of has this realistic idea. There he is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Xbox
Oh, you're
took
good.
a poop for a second.
Oh, you're all right.
Anyway,
Well, No, I
but
was
anyway,
saying,
the volcanoes. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
things don't incinerate, but I mean like stones and rocks and pieces of like natural metal, they'll fall in and they'll kind of just sit there, but like other things, smaller, softer things might melt away and get like chemically recomposed, is what I was saying too. What you were saying, like how things don't just disintegrate in magma.
Yeah. So if you guys really wanted to see what happens, go look up experiments that people do with molten lava, and they use a lot of times they'll use like copper or certain types of metal. Because that's what molten lava. A lot of molten lava is a certain kind of metal that hardens after it comes out. So just go look at some experiments. I watched a few videos of it recently, obviously, because volcanoes. It's always like one of the biggest subjects that they talk about. When they're talking about end of the world stuff. And I was talking about I was listening to. Tyson, what's his full name?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse
Oh.
Tyson, yeah.
Oh.
And he was asking if there's any super volcanoes that will erupt, and then basically a volcanologist were like, no. Like the chances, and the biggest one, obviously, the super volcano is Yellowstone, and they're like, no, it's not going to erupt. It's like it's almost no chance right now that
I
it'll
hope
erupt.
not. I mean, if that thing erupts, we're fucked.
And they actually said this. We wouldn't be.
Really?
A lot of people, you'd think it just a lot of the plants would die, and a lot of people would starve for a while. But I mean, obviously,
That's no big deal there, right? People
Let's
just
Yes.
starve to death.
seal it up and call
if
it
you
good.
have it, it'd take a few years before the volcanic ash would stop covering the earth, though. So basically, you'd go underground for a few years, and probably half of the human race would probably die because this is either starvation or the soot, the sulfite.
You're selling me. You're trying to
Sulfur.
sell me on this like we're not effed type of thing, and you're saying that like half the human race would die. Like,
But it's
Well,
Hold
I mean,
on.
when you're at 9 billion people and it only goes to 4.5, it's not that bad. When I think the world is screwed, I think there's only like 500 million people left on Earth after everybody's died, like after everything's said and done. So if you still have 4.5 billion people, it didn't do that much damage,
I mean,
personally.
Just
I don't.
the way
I know
you're
that
phrasing
sounds
it,
messed up. I know it
you're
sounds messed up. But it didn't like.
Yeah, your phrasing of it's funny though. Like, oh, we're not screwed. We're just gonna lose half the human population. Like, oh god, what is wrong with you? I know you
It's
don't
just
care
half.
much for the. I know you don't care much for the
It's
human
just half of
population.
a
Damn it.
foot.
Yeah, right.
Just a half of a foot. You don't care that much, do you?
Well, yeah. Well, so that's interesting though. That's but yeah, the volcano in Iceland, it wasn't particularly destructive. It was just, it is what it is, and they're trying to tell people it's okay. It's not gonna be that bad, because Iceland right now is hurting economically, so they need tourism to stimulate some of their stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's what happened in Iceland. So they had a volcano erupt, and that was kind of cool. Real quick, one more major piece of just world news. So if everyone's tracking what's going on in Myanmar, there's a military coup uprising type of thing going on, and you've got people protesting and rioting against them, have started using
Where
Molotov
is that?
cocktails. Myanmar.
Where's that located? Geography wise, I'm not
Give me-
that geography like.
Now you're
Savvy?
good. You're good. Hang on, let me look it up.
It's not my thing.
Myanmar.
It's been about 12 years since I took a geography class.
It's in Burma, so it's in Southeast Asia. Myanmar is right next to Thailand and Laos, and just east of Bangladesh.
Okay.
So it's a Southeast Asian country, just south of China. They're having a military coup,
Somewhere over there.
like uprising. Yeah, so it's just west of Thailand and Laos, and it is just east of Bangladesh, and all that. And like next to Bangladesh is India and Nepal and all this other stuff. So what's going on with them is they're having a military coup, military uprising, and the citizens and protesters of this military coup are they're using Molotov cocktails and slingshots to defend themselves. And I think since February you've had about 200 dead and just over 2,000 people arrested. So more to follow on that. I'm just getting bits and pieces of this story, not following it as closely. So this week I'm definitely going to dig into this Myanmar business and see what's going on with it. But I've been so focused on everything else going on here domestically.
Yeah.
So,
that's what matters.
Yep. And so I've got. Well, before I go, does anybody else have anything? Because I feel like I've been hogging up all the talking time and space.
Yeah, let's hear something from Austin and Justin.
Yeah.
And we pretty much went over our topics for all the major stuff. We're just looking forward to the rest of the men's NCAA tournament.
And I saw, on a side note, from, I guess, cool stuff. Antarctica, one of the pieces of the iceberg fell off and like said something about like an underworld sea, like sea creatures and stuff.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've heard about that.
Ocean monsters?
No, just
Aw.
like I guess, maybe, like
Don't do
sea
that. Don't give me
creatures
hope.
living in like Antarctica waters. I guess.
Bunch of
I don't know if
creatures
they were
everywhere in the
frozen
ocean.
or if it was just
Yeah,
actually like creatures living in the ocean or something.
Listen, you know things that live in like the Mariana Trench and maybe not the Mariana Trench. I don't even know if anything lives there, but like in the depths of the ocean where it's pitch black, and some of those godless-looking creatures, just like what two miscreants mated to make that thing?
Yeah,
almost not worth thinking about.
always interested in the those deep sea documentaries, I guess you can say, where they go really deep and you see all the interesting creatures that you don't even see if you were up above water or anything normal.
Yeah,
So-
some of those things are terrifying to look at, though.
Yeah, they are, and that's something I wouldn't want to be in contact with.
Oh, definitely not. Well,
It's cool to look at on TV.
it is
Said
cool to
that.
look at. I'm just like, please don't ever let me like see one of these things for real. Don't let them ever come to the surface. Although I think most of them will die if you expose them to too much light all at once. Like they just kind of disintegrate because they're so used to living in pitch blackness their entire lives. I mean, I remember Finding Nemo, and they go down to the depths and they find the anglerfish, and that anglerfish was terrifying to look at. I was like, oh my god, what is that thing?
The light on
It
his
is
head.
real.
Yeah, what two monsters fucked to create you? Jesus. Sorry, just had to let that one slip. But
Jesus.
Yes.
No,
so,
no,
you know,
I mean Jesus did.
oh yeah.
God and Jesus.
I'm getting a phone call. Give me a second.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Well, I've got an interesting one. I got a funny one. Actually, I've got two funny ones. I'll save my Florida man story for the last, just because I feel like we could always end on a funny note. A man in not Wisconsin, in Washington, yeah, he was arrested for stealing a 400-pound slide from like a park, and he installed it on his mobile home for his son. And I thought it was kind of interesting that he did that. He decided to saw this thing off and drag it to his house and install it on his mobile home. Obviously arrested, you can't steal, but I had to think for a second, like, wow, this man just schlepped 400 pounds of slide to his house for his son to play on. You got to think the guy's an absolute unit for that.
Father of the year.
But father of the year, but still a criminal. Sorry, you can't steal the public slide from the public park, you jackass. So that happened. Well, I guess while we're waiting.
Anything in gaming news, maybe?
You've got some. Well, the only thing I heard is you've got some Halo Infinite news. Again, like that's probably the only thing that's really been flooding my news feed as far as gaming. You've got some new characters that are rumored to be around. Some new Spartans, Spartan 4s, obviously, of the Halo universe. No,
Are they still
nothing
pushing
yet.
the release date for the
So
end
it's
of
still
this year?
releasing November 2021. So it'll be around the 20th anniversary of Halo Combat Evolved. But yeah. All right, Matt's back.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. The internet's
You're
being
good.
poopy today.
Oh, it's
Oh, you're
okay.
good. They were asking about gaming news. I don't really got much for gaming news. I mean,
Not much that I hear.
yeah,
Yeah,
you got.
nothing
I
I've
mentioned
heard.
Very
yeah,
poopy.
very poopy. But I was saying, there's a man in Washington was arrested for sawing off and installing on his mobile home a 400-pound slide from a public park. And he basically, for reference, this guy sawed it off, dragged it to his house, and installed it on his mobile home. I thought, you know what, Father of the Year, but you're still going to jail. So, really quickly, I do have another piece of news, though, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, our favorite actor, at least he's mine, Keanu Reeves, is creating a new comic book called Berserker. And it's
He can
about
do
a guy.
everything.
Yeah, the man's a god.
Yes, he is. He's a very good actor.
A great actor, great human being, just all around cool person.
Yeah, I love his face. It's always the same in every movie he shoots. Great actor.
Apparently,
And he
they
gets
are
paid
making-
millions, so
Sarcasm.
Well, they're apparently making Matrix 4, which I'm not too excited about because
You're
I feel
kidding.
like Matrix
What's
4 is going to be a
Matrix-
flop.
He's dead. So what's?
I don't know. That's all I've heard. I've heard rumors about that. So that one
maybe
I
it's
didn't really
his
pay too
twin
much
brother
mind.
gonna be.
And maybe, yeah, right.
Or maybe the thing he never really did die, and he's
Yeah.
just.
Well, I mean, it's the Matrix. So like they could say, oh yeah, no, he's still alive somehow, some way. But he's making a comic book called Berserker, and the main character is like this hundreds of thousands, if not millions-year-old person. This man who has been essentially like born and bred for war. It's possible that he's a god of some sort, but he doesn't know his origins and he doesn't know the reason for his existence. And part of his story is looking to end his existence because he's tired of living forever and not dying. And there's part of it where it's hinted that he's been used essentially like how Wolverine was used in X-Men Origins Wolverine to fight all the wars, like the Revolutionary War. He's apparently like fought for the U.S. government in every major conflict, so he's just like, I'm tired of fighting. I kind of want to take a break.
Yeah.
So that's part of his story. It's already gotten some contracts for a anime series and a movie, and
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. The main character is drawn to appear in Keanu Reeves' likeness, so facial hair, long hair on top,
I'm sure it'll be very
all that kind of
popular as
stuff.
well.
I'm a fan of Keanu Reeves. I like his work. I like his work off screen though too. I'm a big fan of who he is as a person off the camera. So I support his what he does outside of that. Same way I support Henry Cavill. I like a lot of what Henry Cavill does because Henry Cavill, for those who don't know who he's Superman in the Justice League and the Superman movies, he's a big gamer. Actually, he's doing a lot of stuff for the gaming community, like wanting to star and create a Mass Effect film. But that's off. I'm getting off topic. So Keanu Reeves making this comic book, and I think like in the first couple of weeks, or like there's a period where people could pre-order the first 3 issues, and he sold like how many did he sell? Hold on, let me look it up. I have it written down here. 15,000 copies of the first 3 issues were sold as a joint thing, and he raised almost 1.5 million. So you have to think like it's like $100 per thing, so you're paying roughly like $33.33 per issue for the first 3 issues, which is not uncommon. I mean, you got some comic books that sell for more or less, but it just depends on what they are. And he did like the crowdfunding, and so far I think since then he's sold like 600-something thousand copies. And so, I mean, I'm interested to see it and read it when it comes out. I'll probably wait until it's fully released, though, to read all the issues, at least the first several issues.
Mhm.
But, yeah, so he's doing that. And then, we want to talk about Florida Man news, or we want to talk about space alien shit?
Space aliens.
Let's do it. Okay. So,
Yep.
first one is, so reports of U.S. Navy destroyer vessels off the coast of California are saying that there's thousands of tic-tac-shaped UFOs swarming the Navy destroyers and moving in unexplained ways that cannot be replicated by our own aircraft or drones or any of our technology. And that some of these tic-tac-shaped, and I don't know if they're tic-tac-size and shaped objects are able to move at the speed of light without creating a sonic boom. And that's sort of interesting. I think he's Senator Marco Rubio is the ranking Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee, is also looking into this, and so it's not just these Navy destroyers off the coast of California, but it's that there's several military bases where there's these unidentified objects in the airspace of these military bases and around these military bases. We can't confirm or deny are these alien in nature. Are these of Earth. And the biggest concern is that we just don't know what they are. People are like, oh, they could be Russian or Chinese, and that just means that the Russians and the Chinese have better technology than us when it comes to these unidentified objects. So that's the big scare for them, is what exactly are these things? And we talked about aliens a little bit before in this show. I mean, part of me hopes it's aliens. Part of me is also scared if it is aliens, because if it is aliens, then like, are they peaceful? Are they not peaceful? Do we have to worry about them trying to take over the planet? But like, if they do try to take over the planet, I feel like it'd be the one thing that would unify the entire human race. So there's that kind of concept of like, maybe this will be the thing that gets us to stop fighting each other.
Yeah, maybe.
Did we lose Matt again?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe on that as well.
Oh boy.
You didn't like
We
what
lost
he had
Matt
to
again.
say.
I don't know. We're talking about aliens, and then he tuned out.
I'm pretty sure he
Well-
lost connection again.
Yeah, I wonder if the
It
HVAC
sounds like his stuff working. Somebody's working in his house. Like,
It's
I
the-
heard
Yeah, he said he
banging
had like
and-
the AC
air
or the
conditioning
HVAC
people.
dudes. Yeah.
That's
I'm
probably
gonna work
what
on
it
his
is.
stuff. So maybe they tripped a cord or something. I know when I had guys coming to install doors on my house, the new doors, they fucking unplugged my modem. I was like, what are you guys doing? Y'all fucking stupid. Like, why would you touch anything that doesn't have to do with the goddamn door?
I
You
just had to
idiot?
go to the bathroom. What's wrong?
Oh.
with
Oh, we were wondering if the guys working on your AC knocked something loose, and that's why you kept disconnecting.
Nah, I
We
just
didn't
I
hear
had
you,
to go
so
to the
we're
I had to
like,
go to the bathroom real quick, and
You didn't
I wanted to
say?
check on the kids. I had to go check on the kids and to see how
Did
they're
I give
doing.
you permission to shit?
I didn't take a shit.
Did I give
Well,
you
oh.
permission to void your bowels
Yes,
or your bladder?
absolutely. He winked at me.
Okay.
That wink, it gives me permission to do anything I want.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying, and I don't know if you heard any of what I said, but there have been unidentified tic-tac sized and shaped UFOs kind of in airspace of military bases and swarming destroyers off the coast of California. And that Senator Marco Rubio gave a statement, because he's the ranking Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee, that we don't really know what these things are. The big scare is that these could be like a foreign military's technology, and we just can't identify it, rather than aliens. I mean, I'd rather it be aliens than another country
But
better
what
technology
is it again?
So, I'll read it again. So, reports from the U.S. Navy says that hundreds of tic-tac-shaped UFOs swarmed Navy destroyers off the coast of California and moved in unexplained ways that we cannot replicate with our own planes or drones. Initial reports claim these objects they thought to be drones, but these objects are able to move at the speed of sound without creating a sonic boom. That's sort of like the big get there, is that they're able to move that fast.
Are they
without
all
creating a
tripping on
shockwave.
drugs?
I mean, listen, I know that a lot of people in the military do drugs, but I don't think that many people in the military do drugs. I mean, where you're getting the people filing the reports are usually the pretty straight-edge kind of guys.
To be
Well,
honest,
hang on, real quick.
I don't think they're here to attack us, because if they would,
I think they're observing.
they've already done it. They would have done it
Yeah.
by now.
Well,
but
forget
I
who
think
it
this is their
was.
first visit, so
I don't think it's their first visit.
No,
would
no,
love
I
to
think
become
so.
friends
If
with
they're-
aliens. That'd be
If
nice.
they're going around a destroyer, dude, this is their first visit. What they're gonna do is they're trying to figure out all of our defenses. So obviously,
think so.
you go after our destroyer.
Well, they're
figure
not
out
just going after our
defenses.
destroyers, because like what Senator Marco Rubio was saying, as the Republican head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, is saying you have similar reports in other military bases, airspace, where they can't explain what these things are, and they can't really.
Yeah, so they're
Track
looking
'em.
out. They're looking at our defenses. So that means
Yeah.
they're preparing an attack. So hopefully, I don't know how long it took them to get here, but hopefully it won't be for another 15, 20 years. You know what would be really messed up, man? Is if
that?
this virus was actually something from outer space that they brought.
Ooh, boy, don't get me started on that.
Oh,
Conspiracy
yeah.
Central. Let's do it.
Yeah, right?
What if
It-
COVID was an alien attack? Oh
right.
my God! What if COVID was an alien attack? And so there was a guy that went on. I want to say so. There's a guy that went on Rogan, and there was an ex-Israeli Defense Force astronaut or scientist of some sort, and then another one from the Canadian version of, whatever their NASA space exploration research stuff is. That said, they've been watching us, and the only reason they don't make contact with us is because we keep fighting each other, right? We keep fighting these inter-country wars, and these kind of pointless conflicts with each other, and it kind of makes sense that they would just be like, well, F these guys, we're not gonna.
I mean, to be honest,
them.
I don't think this is our planet.
No, I mean, there's so many theories on like if this is our planet, where did we come from? It's funny is like the memes where it's like, what if there's water on Mars because humans really started on Mars, but we blew it up, and so like Adam and Eve were the last survivors from an escape pod, and then like in the you have the screenshot of that, and it's like
There's a
in the top,
movie
it says-
about that.
Yeah, well, I mean that's part of like the it's what they say, like Assassin's Creed.
It's a Nicolas Cage movie, actually.
Yeah, it's I forget the name of it, but I know what you're talking about, where they come to abduct the kids.
Yeah, well, they're not there
Yeah.
to abduct them. They're there to pick them up because they're like, okay, you're going to start at a new planet.
Right. Yeah.
You've been chosen.
Yeah,
'cause you're
but the
intelligent
adults
enough,
can't
yeah.
go because the adults are stupid.
Yeah, you guys are already bad. Yeah.
Yeah, they've already destroyed the planet, and then they just destroy the Earth.
Well, the
But,
Earth destroyed itself. They didn't destroy it. The Earth destroyed itself. They just knew that
Yeah.
the Earth was going to die, so they just went ahead and picked everybody up and like, okay,
big,
well,
big global warming theme
Mhm.
there. Yeah.
which is very possible here, by the way. So all we need
It is
a
possible.
So what's really scary is if we get a strong enough solar flare, it'll set our atmosphere on fire, and then it'll destroy our entire ozone layer, and then we'll all get burned up within a matter of minutes.
So like
Oh,
War
that's
of the
great.
Worlds.
Yeah.
No, War of the Worlds, that didn't happen.
The World of the Worlds was like aliens.
We'll be
actually
dead
came
before it
invaded
happens,
and
Joe.
jacked us up. Yeah.
Hopefully,
we'll be
dude,
dead before it happens.
actually, we're not gonna be dead before it happens. It could happen at any point, dude. It's the
Yeah.
sun. It's the sun's solar flares. If there's
Yeah.
one that's strong enough, it's really hard. Imagine a solar flare that just happens to shoot in the right direction at the right moment, and it hits this little small target out in the distance, which is Earth, is let's say a million or 15 million, not 15 million. I don't know how much.
Light years
500,000
away.
miles. No, miles. 15 million miles away. Let's just call it that far, because it takes 8 minutes. I don't know what the speed of light is, but it takes 8 minutes for the light of the sun to reach the Earth. So essentially, you have to be like very precise with that solar flare to be able to do something like that. So the chances of it happening are very minimal, but it could still happen. It's got the
Right.
potential
It's
to.
totally possible.
Yeah, it's got the potential, man. So it's really scary, though.
It is a little. It is slightly terrifying. You know, think about it. Like that's something that could totally happen. You know, no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you think about it, and when I think about aliens coming to visit Earth, whether they're here for peaceful or non-peaceful reasons, I feel like if aliens came, and especially if they were aggressive, it would be the one thing that would actually unify the planet. Now, granted, if they're able to move at the speed of sound without creating a sonic boom, and they're drones the size of Tic Tacs, and we might be a little effed, but like it's something worth thinking about. You know, these really could be some substantial like times where we see humanity actually unify against a common threat. I mean, that's how it always happens, right? You always have all the sci-fi movies, the video games, TV shows. It's always an alien threat comes, and it's too much for humanity to handle.
Let me put it like this: if they have the abilities of those kind of things, and let's say that they do, just for the shits and giggles of it, okay?
Yeah.
We're already fucked. Like
Exactly.
So I mean, if they're just observing, let's hope that they continue to observe.
Yeah,
It's not-
well,
it's not gonna-
maybe they're a peaceful race, and this is just all observational reconnaissance and research stuff, and they're not actually a warfaring species. You know, maybe we're lucky and they just want to learn and they don't want to fight. You know, it could be that. I mean, maybe they come and they have higher technology, but they're not really they're not a warfighting species. Like, well, to dip into some Halo lore real quick, like, you had the elites versus the prophets, and the prophets had better technology, but the elites were just better warriors, but they were pretty primitive in comparison. But the elites were jacking up the prophets left and right. The only reason the prophets won is because they had superior technology. Eventually, they were able to use more spaceships and stuff, but it was like, you know, they won through the technology, but at a heavy cost. And eventually, they formed the Covenant, and you know, they had their union, their unifying stuff, their act, and maybe it would be like that. You know, maybe hopefully we're not like a galactic alien hegemony that's running around taking over everything. But that's something to think about. It could be these could be very like peaceful, intelligent, but not violent aliens. It's just a thought. I mean, same thing if you look at like Mass Effect, you had like the humans were pretty explorative. Like, you know, we like to explore in that universe, but we came across others with the Turians were a purely military race, but they were peaceful. They had like a sense of honor. It's almost very Bushido Codish. And then you had other species that were more about like art and philosophy and science. And so it's something to think about. Like maybe it's not one race that's looking at it. Maybe it's a collective of aliens that are like watching us, waiting to invite us into the intergalactic community and see if we're ready. It could be that. I mean, maybe it's not. It could just be one species wanting to fight. It could just be a group of species saying, evaluating us for the galactic community.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to find out.
I always like that. Well, no, what are you talking about? Like all the video games I play, all the aliens are pretty bro as fuck. So I wouldn't be too upset if like one of my new best friends becomes a fucking alien. It's like, yo, what do we do? What alien shit do you do? Do you want to do alien DMT? It's like, do I ever? Do you want to smoke alien drugs? Like, yes. I mean, I think it'd be fun. But
Be interesting for sure.
For sure. I mean, there's no way to know until that day comes. But it's fun to speculate what it could be. It could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing. You know, we could say we have to be militantly prepared for some sort of alien, you know, invasion. But we also it could be like, hey, they land and they've learned the language. That's what they're researching us. And hey, we come in peace. We speak English. Don't shoot. And because they know, like, yeah, humans will shoot right off the bat. Like, hey, you don't know us that well. And they introduce new technology to us, and you know, maybe they're watching us and seeing how corrupt our authorities are, and they're like, well, maybe not. Who knows? It's interesting to think about, though. I do like the possibility that maybe they're here to help us grow and learn and evolve as a species.
I would love to become friends with an alien.
Right? Like, thank God I'm not the only one.
I
think
kind of
it'll
said
be
it. I
cool.
kind of said it earlier, but I don't think y'all heard me the first time. But it's okay.
Oh no.
No.
Well,
Yes,
yeah.
I
speak
said
up.
the same thing.
But that's what I got for space news and cool alien stuff. Cool science shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
TBD on aliens, if aliens really exist,
Yeah,
and we
we'll-
can become all best friends.
If we have aliens that come and exist, we'll have one as a guest of the Thunderdome Podcast.
Yeah, it'll be historic.
Yeah. Like, all right, our new guest on the Thunderdome Podcast, his name. That's how you pronounce his name. And the last bit of news.
Yes, Radio Kid / Matt is weird and creepy, and probably the closest you'll ever get to an alien on Earth.
Who said that?
Who do you think?
A Joker.
Oh yeah.
Of course. You're not wrong, Joker. You're
Hi,
not wrong.
James. Hope you're doing good, buddy.
Hi, James.
I mean, I've met some weirder people, but you're not wrong. Matt's kind of an alien in and of itself. But we have another alien that lives amongst us. His name is Florida Man, and I have a story on Florida Man. And this is my last segment. So,
I thought that was gonna be saved for next time. That's okay.
no. Well, I like our. If we do a Florida Man segment every time, I think it shows the aliens that we have some weirdos among ourselves.
Yep.
So in Florida Man news, Florida Man was arrested after he almost crashed to a gas pump at a gas station, and he fucking ramped his car up on the curb. And when the cop showed up, he's like, "Oh, help! I can't even call AAA. The stupid car won't run." And like, "Oh, have you tried using the keys?" So he rummages into his pockets, finds the keys, which he didn't know were there because he's not even entirely sure if these are his pants. And they're like, "Oh, well, you're a weirdo. Let's see some ID because we think you're on drugs or alcohol in severe quantities." He goes rummaging through his pants and pulls out this wrapper that says "Dank Gummies, Cannabis Infused." And they say, "Oh, wow, right on the money." So he's like, "Wait a minute, hang on." Still hasn't pulled out his ID. Goes back into his pocket, starts rummaging around, pulls out medicated nerd rope with 400 milligrams THC infused on the side of the package of the second item he's pulled out. It says, "Sir, we need you to step out of the car, and we're gonna fucking have you sit on the curb." He says, "Okay." While inspecting the car, he's like, "No, these aren't mine. These are from my girlfriend. She's got, stage whatever cancer. Didn't really specify what type. She's got cancer. These are for her." And while we feel bad for Florida Man's girlfriend, we the law is the law. He didn't have a medical card. So I was like, "Well, why do you have these?" Upon inspecting the vehicle, they found a few grams of cocaine just to top it off, because why not, Florida Man? He was taken into jail, and we give well wishes to his alleged girlfriend who needs THC gummies and edibles. And a swift, we hope Florida Man swiftly finds his actual pair of pants and learns that he doesn't need AAA when he has his own damn keys for his car. And with that, that is the end of my segments, gents. That's all I got for episode 12.
Another successful episode, I think. Unless Matt has anything else to say.
Yeah, do you have anything to final out with, Matt?
So we didn't talk about the Georgia thing that happened.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
So real quick, if nobody knows this, but Georgia passed a law that puts more restrictions on your ability to vote, meaning who can vote early and who can have absentee ballot. Those things probably not as troubling, but if anybody remembers back in November when the early votes were happening, there was long lines in Georgia, like 13-hour long waits to be able to vote. And naturally, when you're waiting in the line for 13 hours, you're going to want to eat, drink, and take a whiz or eat something or take a shit. One of those. And so they made it illegal and a crime for anybody to come provide food or drinks to anybody that's in line. Yeah, so in case you didn't think our government could be more shitty, they go ahead and make it illegal for you to feed somebody that is waiting in line to vote. I mean,
why is that though?
You have like a
because they're trying to restrict the amount of people that go and vote. So they're
wow.
comparing this to the Jim Crow laws. It's trying, because a lot of the people that are going to vote and their demographic is black people, especially in Atlanta. You get in Georgia, a lot of people are black, and they're trying to restrict what you're able to do. So, unfortunately, that's what fucking happened. I don't know. I have anything else to say.
It's
You guys have
very
any thoughts on it?
interesting and kind of weird at the same time.
Do they have a
It's not
sign out there?
normal.
Like,
I mean,
like
Why they would do that, I don't know.
do you have a
Well-
sign like when you go to the lake and it says "Don't feed the ducks"? It's like "Don't feed the voters."
Oh my gosh! Now we're comparing people to ducks. Okay.
Sorry,
It's true, though.
wildlife. Don't feed the wildlife, not just ducks. But well, so I kind of disagree. Like, if your buddy comes and brings you like some food, that while you're waiting for 12 freaking hours in line to go vote, I don't think that should be an issue. Like, I don't really understand it. If they're trying to limit the amount of people, it'd be different if it was like, because you said something earlier when we talked about this before we went live about like voter ID laws, and like I agree we should have more voter ID laws, because there's no reason that you shouldn't want to fortify the integrity of an election, right? And I'm not talking about like under this conspiratorial like Donald Trump asking for votes. I'm just talking about like, hey, show your freaking ID, show your driver's license or your state ID to be able to vote. This way we can verify who you are and say, okay, yeah, you're a citizen, go vote, or you have the right to vote, so go vote. I would say no eating, it's ridiculous, that's stupid. But I also, because like from what I understand, like absentee ballots and stuff like that, I mean, maybe like 10 years ago, that was generally reserved, and I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, we're the only ones allowed to do it, but it was for like military guys that were either stationed overseas or on training assignments and couldn't get back to vote in time. And that's where like, hey, do you want to do an absentee ballot while you're, deployed? It's like, yeah, sure. Because even though you're deployed, if you're a member of the military, you should still be able to vote. That's usually how it was. And I mean, like, I don't know, what else did you say? Were they trying to restrict early? They're starting to restrict early voting and absentee voting, and they want more voter IDs. Restricting absentee voting, I mean, like, if you have a good reason to be an absentee voter, like, I can kind of get behind that. Or if you're, showing voter ID laws, that's fine. Trying to curb the number by saying, like, oh, if you come here, you're stuck until you do it, so don't go, I hope you didn't have to take a crap. I'm like, dude, don't ask me to improvise. I'll wear a diaper to this thing. Don't fuck with me. I'll wear a diaper.
I don't think they said anything about bringing your own food or own drinks. They just said
like,
nobody can
I'll
show
bring
up
snacks.
and provide you.
Listen,
stuff,
it'll be like I'm
which-
sneaking into the movie theaters, old school style, with a bag full of
But,
like
so-
snacks
so-
and shit.
So what caught everybody's attention on this, though, was essentially a woman went over and trying to talk. A state representative was trying to talk to the governor, and she was trying to make it in. She was trying to make it in the door where he was signing it, trying to tell him, like, look, this is against our rights. Like, you can't tell people they can't eat and drink. And she ended up getting arrested, and there's a video about it. You can go out and search it. And, the person that's videoing it is like, tell me why you're arresting her. Tell me why you're arresting her. I was like, well, you're trying to get in a room where you're told no. But, I mean, I understand where she's coming from, but you can't go in a room where someone tells you no. It's just, it doesn't work like that. But, unfortunately,
No.
that's the kind of stuff that's happening.
Well,
And-
having freedom of access to public spaces, and generally government buildings are public spaces. I mean, depending on what's going on in there, they might be able to say, "Oh, we're signing something; it's off limits right now." That's different, but I mean, like, you're still, if you're someone who works in the government and you want to talk to the governor, you want to talk to him, that's you're not supposed to be able to just block them off, say, no, verboten, you're not allowed, like, because we have stuff we don't want you to try and stop or expose. And, like, to draw a parallel to, it's kind of like how reporters aren't allowed right now at the detention facilities down on the border with what's going on the Mexican border. And I'm surprised we didn't talk about this today. Maybe next week. But it's kind of fucky. You kind of think about it. It's like, this isn't okay. Like, you should be allowed, like, journalists should be allowed to go in and ask questions. And so should people who work for the government should be able to ask your governor what the hell he's thinking. You're not immune from answering questions, no matter what your position is. Like, people have a right to know. So I kind of disagree with this idea that this woman was arrested, and I'm like, well, under what pretense was she arrested? Like, under what crime did she commit that you had her arrested?
Right.
It's not like she was just asking you questions and that was an inconvenience for you.
Yeah, Anyway, I don't think she's gonna be charged with anything, but she's
No,
detained.
no, no.
She's
Yeah, okay.
definitely detained. Which people don't realize, if you're doing something wrong and you're not following instructions, you might not be arrested, but you can be detained.
You can be detained.
Yeah. So, and it's like, why are you bound by arrest? You're not. You're being detained because you're being difficult. We're telling you to do something, and you're not doing it. And I'm sure the police don't give a shit. Like, they're sitting there like, guys, just listen. If you want to talk to them, you're gonna find a different way. It's like nobody can just walk in the White House and start talking to Biden.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
It's like, no, I need to go talk to him right now.
see the fucking what's the
Okay.
Tiger King thing? Guess what, motherfucker? Just kicking the Oval Office. Well, yeah, they can't do that with certain individuals with understanding. But this is you just wanted to talk to the governor and ask questions, and that's where I'm like, you can't just arrest. You shouldn't be able to just detain that person because they're being difficult. Like, people are difficult all the time. You don't detain them. But I don't know. Seems kind of shitty.
Who knows?
Seems a little sus.
Yeah.
Everything always seems sus in this world, dude.
Dude, don't even get me started. I'm now that we said we think COVID's an alien attack, I'm just like, bro. COVID wasn't even it wasn't made in Wuhan. It was delivered from space.
Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have started that with you guys.
Mainly Neil, but yeah. It's all
What'd you
good.
say? You shouldn't have started that now.
Yeah.
It's fun to play around and joke about, but I don't think it's I'm not going to take that too much further.
All good.
Yep.
But that was a
Anyways.
good show. Yeah. Do we have anything else?
No, nothing else. We'll have the results for who moves on to the final four, I guess.
Elite 8.
Yes, sir.
Elite 8.
Yep.
Elite 8.
Ever
Yeah,
so
we got
close.
Sweet 16 going on this weekend. We got UFC 260 Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou tonight on UFC. I think on ESPN Plus and a couple other stations. Probably if you have a Buffalo Wild Wings that in your area, they'll be showing it.
That's
Should be
open.
the heavyweight championship. That is open. Well, I mean, listen, if they're out here in Colorado and they're open, the only places that are more strict than this is like California and New York. So
Well, they're being lenient on things now, but yeah. Anyways.
yeah. All
So
right.
yeah, I will be posting this podcast on my YouTube channel, so
Same here
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Follow Lord of the Reams and Just in Time for TV on YouTube. Follow myself, just my legal full name, Neil Rickoff, on YouTube. Follow the Instagram, your boy Slick Ricky Bobby. Twitch, Discord. Anybody else? You have anything?
Yep, join our Discord community, Thunderdome Podcast.
Yeah.
Thunderdome!
The Thunderdome!
I posted it on my channel
Podcast.
so that way you guys can see.
Yeah, give me 1 second. They posted in my channel.
I feel so
Yeah.
special.
All
We're
right.
all
Well,
special in our own way.
my mama says I'm special.
Alright. Well,
All right. Well,
guess I will close it off.
if we're done here, Austin, take us home, please.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending today's podcast.
Drive safe, and I will see you later.
That was great.
All right,
right.
we'll see y'all
Bye,
next
everybody.
weekend. Next Saturday,
Bye.
same time, Saturday mornings. And y'all have a great week.